The thing is that as a creator, like something that I won't say that I'm a big creator, but
Hmm.
in my journey, something that I am trying to inculcate
Right.
every day,
Right.
whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Twitter or coming Instagram or YouTube, wherever I go, right? Uh, Something that I think about is that what is like the nuance to it that people
Hmm.
can take out of this,
Do you think
right?
people can
And
take out nuance?
yeah, I think everybody perceives a single content piece differently, right?
Sure.
Uh, Unless it's very informative, right?
Right.
Like if the content piece is super informative, then people are going to perceive it as the same. But most of the time, these big creators are writing to evoke emotions, right? Like
Correct.
if you look at any top creator in India, most of it is driven by emotions.
Hmm.
Everybody wants a better life, whether it's men, women, other people, and creators are trying to tap into that emotions, into those emotions. But what happens is that people, I think creators are not thinking about the nuances that come with a piece of content,
Hmm.
right? And when they say things like that, in order to live your best life or in order to change your life, all you need is internet and a laptop. I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
you know,
Right.
or your job is not as important as your mental health,
Hmm.
or like leave that job, choose your mental. I mean, okay, I get what you're saying. I totally get it. Yes. And I believe that no job is important than any person's mental health. But what if that person doesn't have any other option?
Hmm.
And that job is their source of income.
Right.
So, what these creators often miss is that trying to tap into one specific emotion, they miss out on the realities of life. People just
I
can't,
get.
you know,
Hmm.
people just can't like chuck their jobs
Right.
because it's ruining their mental health, right?
Right.
But
Right.
they can take better steps to maybe have better conversations with their managers, maybe sort it out, right? And nobody tells them that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's always that one cookie cutter nonsense that people bring up,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And I like my understanding is that I get it that sometimes it's okay to just put out whatever the shit is going on in your head. But as big creators, like large creators, if you have more than a 500K
Hmm.
following, you should always think about 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 20,
Correct.
30-year-olds reading that, and how are they gonna like perceive that and apply that to their lives,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And another aspect that I think about as a creator is I never want anybody to respect me that much
Hmm.
that they follow just anything that I say,
Right. Right.
right? Like, yeah, like that, the concept of independent thinking,
Hmm.
you know, I think that needs to be preached and practiced and, just like propagated a lot. And
Hmm.
it's not propagated a lot because as creators, you tend to be like, hey, I'm a thought leader. Just listen to me. I know what's best,
Right.
right? But you might not,
Right.
you know,
Right. Right.
because I don't even know the 20,000, 24,000, and the 35,000 that follow me. I don't know
Hmm.
their life,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Yeah.
But true,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I remember my ex-boss, who was the founder of Filter Copy Dice Media. He was telling me an interesting
Hmm.
framework of at least creator growth. And you see any creator, and if you break down the story, I mean, it will be your story as well, and you will relate to it. That the
Hmm.
engagement piece, where people retweet or reshare a lot, lies in the agreeableness of your content.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what exactly happens is you might have a different point of view, but just because you have to grow, so you keep on putting agreeable content, and
Yeah.
and suddenly
Yeah.
what you start doing, you start showing your reality, which
Reality.
which
Yes.
could be a different reality than what you have been preaching
Yeah.
since last 10
Yeah.
years or 5 years or whatsoever, and then that's where the
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
comes into place.
I think my perception about this is a bit like I talk to myself sometimes about this, and
Hmm.
my thought process is that people become slaves to these likes and
Absolutely.
retweets and shares,
Absolutely.
right? Because that's the food on their plate,
Correct.
right? So
Correct.
they're not wrong in doing that.
Hmm.
But what I also want people, especially coming creators and creators who are creating right now, is that you have to educate the audience. Like either entertain or educate, right? Those are two things, right?
Correct.
Creators do.
Hmm.
Entertainment, like whatever, everybody knows it's entertainment, right?
Right.
Even if like Carrie Minati is like, roasting someone, that's entertainment, right? Like
Right.
he tells that I am roasting, and that the other person is like aware of that. But when it comes to educating, what happens is that people often don't educate, they just, I don't know, curate. They just put out the existing things that are already there in the world,
Because that's a shortcut. I
right?
mean, that's a simple
That's the
shortcut to grow.
shortcut.
Yeah.
That's the shortcut to grow, right? And
True.
it's understandable. But when a creator stands out and is, I like to call these fearless creators, and I'm trying to put myself in that bracket. Like I'm
Right.
trying to have a brand where people are like, okay, this person is going to bring out a unique perspective, and she's going to make me mad. And I love doing that. Like I love that. I reply to people, I ask them questions, and it's not like I'm trying to attack, right? It's just that I'm trying to bring a more nuanced
Independent
perspective into the
thinking. Yeah.
conversation. Yeah. Like help me understand how you think about this, right? Like I'm just asking that to a creator. And
Got it.
what often happens is, because they're so used to trolling, they consider that
This
as
has a troll.
trolling as
Yeah.
well. Exactly. So I think as a creator, just being that, realizing of, I don't know, realizing, reflecting, retrospecting of what am I actually doing, and what am I actually bringing into the social media landscape, that is very, very important. Because, you have to say certain things that are not being said. And most creators that I genuinely look up to or I'm learning from are people that I always see bring a lot of personality to the table, right? And personality comes in when you are actually not afraid to tap
True.
into who you are.
True.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. There are actually very few, I mean, very rare, I would rather say, creators who quote unquote have a personality. And personality is not just about what you wear. You can wear
Exactly.
box. I mean,
Exactly.
you can say, ki, okay, theek hai, my personality is wearing a boxer and doing a podcast, but that is not what we exactly mean.
Yeah.
But actually, if you think in the podcasting zone also, that is the reason you will see very, very few creators in India. Like sometimes actually I have this problem with podcasters that you get extremely great people on the board or as
Yeah.
a guest, and you ask
But
dumbest
you never
questions to
dig
them.
enough. Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like,
Like,
bhai, kya hai?
like people are asking, tell us about your morning routine and all of that.
Right,
I'm actually trying to be a better,
right,
someone who asks better questions, right?
right.
And I've been doing that on my Twitter Spaces, and I've like, I like that,
You still
like
do Twitter Spaces?
I am I'm doing them. Yeah, yeah. The last one was with Danny Miranda,
Right.
and really cool guy. Another podcaster. He's doing killer stuff. Yeah, like he's bringing all these people. But yes, you're so right that most podcasters are not. I think it's difficult also. Like, let me be
True,
honest with that.
true,
Like,
true,
it's incredibly difficult to ask very raw questions.
true, true, true.
Like questions where you show your reality, a lot. A very prime example of that I can give is I saw Selena Gomez's, documentary, My Mind and Me. And what I realized was that a lot of artists, there's a scene, okay, where she just says, like, she talks about reporters, and she says that the reporter wasn't even paying to my answers. Basically, it was like not a diss on reporters, but it was very fearless of her as a creator, and also very vulnerable as a creator and an artist, to actually show how much she's had enough of the media. Most people would have just cut that out because it's the media only that's doing her interviews,
Right.
that's putting the word out, that's her PR, right? But she had that courage in a way to sort of like show that to people, that she goes through that. She feels like an object because of the media. And I guess what I'm just trying to say is that it's hard as a creator to do that.
Absolutely.
Like, for me, a lot of people say that you consider yourself, you're very full of yourself. Like 2-3 people have said that to me in the past 2 years.
Hmm.
It's not a big deal, right? Sometimes, and I tell this to people that yes, I talk very like highly of myself, but what it does is that it takes guts to accept that yes, I do talk a lot of I and me, and to share that openly with your audience and be okay with that,
Hmm.
right? Because a lot of the times people and creators are trying to play this morality game where they're just trying to fit in,
True, true,
you
true,
know,
true, true,
without actually accepting the whole of their being, right? Like you're
true.
just not one perfect podcaster.
Hmm.
You're so many things, right? And I think that's also why creators fail to evolve,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
we've discussed this so many times, you and me, right? That the
True,
evolution,
true,
the
true.
long term game, people they come and they go and they become obsolete. Like they don't even go, they become obsolete after a particular
True,
point
true.
because they fail to show their audience that I'm going to be evolving with you.
Right.
And I think that, like, looking up at another female banger artist is Taylor Swift, like the way she's evolved.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know that's a huge scale, but
Hmm.
that's something to think about.
True, true.
Someone being on the billboards for this long a time and coming back again and again and again. That's, that's like just tapping into the audience at its best and tapping into yourself at its best,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
True, true. I was
Yeah.
having this conversation with Manish Pandey. I don't know if you know him or not.
I know
Uh,
him.
you know him. Great. So I went to Joe Stock's
Hi,
office
Manish
and
sir, if you're listening to this.
I have to send him to listen. I'm not a big guy as is, but still. Uh,
It's okay. It's okay.
uh, uh, I, I,
Yeah.
I just went to Joe Stock's office when he was in Bangalore. He's still in Bangalore, I guess. तो हम लोग office में बैठे हुए थे and we were just having a pretty long 40 minutes conversation where 10 minutes was ranting about what is wrong with stuff and everything. And
Yeah.
then he asked me a simple thing that how is your mental model around becoming a creator because you're a professional. There are very very few professional
Hmm.
people working 8 hours a day and then going to creator.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I was like, one of my mentors told me a pretty interesting thing and that has still stuck to me, that like as a personality I'm interested in music, I'm interested in production, I'm interested
Hmm.
in videos and everything. There are a ton of things, but every time I
Yeah.
pick up one art and I want to broadcast it on any platform, the question is, can
Hmm.
I do this for next 15 years and not get bored? it's
Yeah.
it's as simple
Yeah.
as that. If
Yeah.
yes, then only I will broadcast. If no, that will go to my notes. That's all.
Hmm.
Hence, I never,
Hmm.
I keep on singing and doing composition, that I don't broadcast it because
Hmm.
I still feel some of the skills should be with me. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not everything needs to be
Yeah.
broadcasted. But exactly, we have talked about this. Like, what are the horizons as a creator you can explore? Like
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
you don't just want to be a marketer or a copywriter and talk about it throughout your life and
Yeah.
everything. But how do
Ye-
you come to a conclusion on that? Okay, so what do I try to understand from you is this, that let's say Twitter, the conventional wisdom is niche out one thing
Yeah.
or niche out two things and then talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
subscribe to and how do you design the content buckets?
Okay. So I think that this concept of riches is in the niches, right?
Right.
It's true. I agree with that, and I believe that focus is important,
Hmm.
right?
In terms of
But
uh, uh,
in terms of
giving happiness to the algorithm or to yourself, let's be clear about that.
um, focus, in terms of giving, I think focus is important in terms of success, right?
Okay.
Like not just making the algorithm happy,
Okay.
but also, making like just making your impact bigger, right? Because just think about it, like it's an old saying, right? You can't have your two legs in, you can't
Correct.
have both your legs in two different boats, right?
Correct.
it,
Correct.
it just doesn't make sense, and I
Right.
agree with that. But what has happened in our world today, and as I'm like talking and conversing to more people, and this is not just like talking about like creators, I try to connect creators to entrepreneurs a lot, okay? Because I work with entrepreneurs very closely. And what has happened and what I've realized is that a lot of us mostly are generalists, right? Especially when we're starting out in our careers, right? And what has happened in the creator economy and in the past with our careers is that we've been told that choose this one thing, stick with it for 40 years of your life, and you're successful, right? Choose this one topic, stick with it for the rest 10 years of your life, and you will be known as the creator for it, right?
Which
But
has
just
some bit of
think,
truth, I
it
guess.
has some bit of truth,
Yeah.
yeah. But hear me out. Okay, you're a creator. You choose that you're going to talk about content marketing, right? Uh, you do tons of research. You're a successful, marketer as well, and
Right.
you talk about it. You create about it. You have a highly successful newsletter. Okay, after a particular point, which is in now, not right now, the age that we're in, the way, the speed with which with which we are moving, after 3 years, somebody else is going to replace
Replace
you
you for sure.
with something more creative.
Right.
And that's going to frustrate the shit out of you because you're like, oh my God, riches is in the niches. What is happening? You might have a lot of experience. You'll definitely get a better job, right? You definitely might be, might be getting invited to great podcasts. You might be selling a course and all of that, but your audience will get distracted, right? There are tons of people who talk about video editing out there. There are tons of people who talk about copywriting out there, right? Competition is just going to increase and increase and increase, right? Now, coming to the concept of focus, and the part where I said that I relate creators to entrepreneurs is that, in a startup, it's okay to pivot and to evolve and to listen to the customer, right? But the thing is that you have a service or a product that you can keep modifying according to how your audience wants. Here, it's just you and your content, right?
Right.
And people find it incredibly hard to pivot. So my just understanding about this is that when you're a young creator and if you're not 100% sure that this is, like, some people know that this is it that I'm going to talk about, right? Like, they're completely sure that I'm going to talk about leadership, or I'm going to talk about, you know, uh, the pay gap, right? Like, people are sure of that. And they keep digging into it, they keep digging into it, they keep working on it. And they're not just creating about it, Sindhu, they are actively changing that. They are a part of the process, right? And I think that brings you more satisfaction than just talking about it, right? Like, coming to Raj Shivani's book, build, don't talk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do I think about this is, as for me on Twitter and on LinkedIn, the framework that I've made in my head is I want to tell people that it is okay to be a career nomad. Like, that's the term that I use.
Yeah.
Because,
I like the term.
yeah, because what happens is that, it's going to be very poetic, but you evolve as a person, and my career journey, if you look at it, I went from wanting to be a neurosurgeon to failing at getting into medical school to kind of losing all hope, and then to start writing, which I had been doing already since I was a young child, and now making money out of it, building a business out of it, working with good businesses, right? Working with great companies because of that, right? I could have never dreamed that I'll be working with these people
True. True. I
because
feel
of the
that.
things that I talk about online. So it's okay to show your entire personality on social media, right? But just the framework for this that I developed for myself is that have one thing that is like your main driver. That is like the 50% of you, right? And you deep down know that in your heart.
Correct.
Like, it's
Correct.
very clear to you. And for me, it's like marketing right now, right? Like, for me, marketing is like 50% of what I do. And then 20% you can say is all about, like, women, communities, that. 20% is maybe skill development, being a career nomad, being a generalist. I want to talk about that, right? And then 10% is maybe the other extra shit that I do, which is like mentorship, public speaking, workshops, all of that. And what happens is when you show people around the world that this is how I'm living my life, this is how I'm navigating my life, people respect that. That's what
Right.
I found,
Right.
right? It's you feel scared to do that, but people respect that because deep down, everybody
Everyone
has
is same.
so much in them.
True.
Everyone has so much in them that they're not exploring and
True.
they're unhappy, right? So this concept of like, the moonlighting thing that, don't do extra work outside the job and people are doing that. People will do that, yeah.
Right.
It's obvious that they'll do that because there is not just you're not just like in yourself as a person you like so many different things
True.
unless yes you're very extremely clear about that.
Hmm.
But coming to the point of success, what I believe is that as you go through this journey, I've been creating for the past 2 years, right? And as I'm going through this journey, what I'm realizing is that some things are sticking to me, right? Like it's become very obvious to me that what are the industries or the niches that I want to work in.
Hmm.
It's becoming kind of obvious inside me, inside my head, because I am exploring so actively,
Right. Right.
because I'm like talking so actively. And I think this concept of like find your purpose is complete bullshit
Hmm.
because it's not easy to do that. Nobody wakes one day and is like,
Okay, I have
oh
this
shit,
purpose. Chalo,
this is,
let's do it.
yeah, I'm
Hmm.
so clear about it now.
Hmm.
Let's go at it. I was clear about it. My purpose was I want to be a fucking good neurosurgeon.
Hmm.
I want to solve Alzheimer's. And then life just
Hmm.
wrecked it all, right? And
Right.
you can't do anything.
Right.
You pivot then, right? So even if you find a purpose, I think just deep down, what even your content comes back to is finding in yourself and, like you said, reflecting in yourself what is something that makes me excited enough that I can keep doing this for the next 20 years.
Hmm.
And I can keep accepting the challenges that come with it, because it's not about just, I'm going to create,
Hmm.
right? It's also about, am I going to get successful in this?
True.
Am
True.
I going to get what I want out of this? Is this going to open doors for me? Is this going to get me into conferences? Is this going to get me into whatever your agenda is, right?
Right. Right.
But if you truly believe that you want to be a successful creator, you cannot hurry up in that process. And we've talked about this, right?
Right.
Like you
Right.
and me, we've
Hmm.
had this discussion of how important it is to be in a self-reflective mode with
True.
your
True.
creator
True.
journey.
True. True.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think with time, my mental model has shifted. I mean, I will not say that I'm trying to becoming a creator or something. I'm trying to build distribution and make money out of it. If I'll be very very honest about that, I believe
Mm.
that followers do not make sense without engagement. Engagement do not make sense about making money. It is absolute
Yeah.
bullshit
Yeah.
unless and until you tell ki okay, be absolutely clear to yourself कि भाई मेरे को fame चाहिए. Then we are all
Yeah.
honest about it.
Yes.
That's
We're
a
all
different game
honest about
altogether. As
exactly.
as
Yeah.
having this
Yeah.
conversation, yesterday with one of my friend Pradyut. Pradyut is the guy who I got into podcast. He made a first video with me. He has a pretty big channel with his wife. बहुत बड़ा YouTube channel है उनका.
Okay.
I guess
Okay.
100
I
k
gotta check
or
them.
something. हाँ हाँ हाँ.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I was having this conversation, and he asked me a pretty interesting question that, hey, an edtech has reached out to me to make multiple courses and everything. And I
Mm.
simply asked him that, what are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for money, or are you optimizing for the
Mm.
fame? And he was
Yeah.
like super duper clear. He was like, कि भाई पैसा मेरे को नहीं चाहिए because I have enough money. I
Yeah.
just want fame out of it. And then we had a
Yeah.
chat about fame for next 10 minutes, and I got 2
Mm.
to 3 interesting insights out of it. One is, if you're optimizing for fame, then I guess you should be absolutely clear fame किस domain में चाहिए and किसके दिमाग में चाहिए. Do you
Yeah.
want to
Mm.
become famous in the minds of college students, or do you want to
Yeah.
become famous in the minds of your professionals or whatsoever? नहीं तो ये like
Yeah.
Twitter पे shit posting करते करते आप 16 years old के followers ले आओगे, but they will not pay you money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is what is pretty interesting. Like Kunal Shah keeps on saying this every time, that you can have 2 billion followers, but only
Hmm.
0.1% will pay you money. Is that a good
Yeah.
business model? So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, so this is what I've been thinking about it, like the reason I'm not aggressive with Twitter anymore, and I
hmm.
have accepted this, and it's also not growing. And I don't give a shit about that.